for this year's Central Illinois Robotics Club BotBrawl, I brought my hastily built beetle weight, which I ended up naming King Googly. Thanks for all the name suggestions on the Facebook page, by the way, guys. As well as my two Crave Monsters, which together formed an ant weight multibot. I'd kind of forgotten that the Craves had to start within a 12x12 cube, but I quickly came up with this start procedure, which seemed to work pretty well. The lineup of robots for this year was really good. It's cool to see the year-over-year improvements. There's a lot of variety. There's some new, really good ones, like the Snip, which is this vertical saw blade robot, as well as some returning heavy hitters like the Hockey Puck of Death Spinook. And here we go with the Crave Monsters' first match against Taster.
Manages to catch him, has to release within 10 seconds. 8, 7, 6. So he has technically released. There we go. Taster's back out.
My brother's driving the purple Crave, and he gets pushed in the trapdoor.
He gets one piece in. Oh no! 51% of the weight. Yeah, 51% of the weight must go into the trapdoor.
Because the Craves are equal weight, though, both of them have to be disabled for a loss. At this point in this first round, when it's just 1v1, I'm really noticing the difference in pushing power compared to the four-wheel drive Crave from last year. And the other thing is that his servo-actuated wedge up front is really low to the ground. It's able to get under my wedge and push me around. And the lack of traction that I have compared to his nice Caterpillar tracks is really evident here.
Battle Festival going on. The State and Water Stage will open with performances at 11 a.m.
30 seconds left to finish. Crave Bot still going. 5 seconds.
And with only 5 seconds left, I thought it would go to the judges, but next up was King Googly, and my opponent had a pneumatically actuated flipper. The first minute of this match is me all over the place trying to figure out how to drive the thing. I'm also pretty worried about that flipping wedge as my robot is not invertible. After driving a bit, I'm able to get some grabs on him and kind of keep his robot in front of mine. Unfortunately, there's not really any pushing power for my robot, so I can't push him towards the trapdoor. And all I can do is try to act aggressively and try to get grabs in, but I'm realizing now that these direct drive brushless motors just don't have enough torque, and the little rubber bands that are forming the wheels don't have enough grip for me to actually take control and push him towards the trapdoor. And at this point, his pneumatic ram gets turned sideways, so the wedge no longer falls directly on the ground, and it's kind of jammed upwards.
30 seconds remaining. King Googly.
The lifting wedge isn't working, but he's just using that pneumatic ram as like a punching weapon.
Using his pneumatic flipper as a ram.
And so with both of our robots still running, this ends up going to a judge's decision. And this was a close call, but King Googly ends up winning it.
2, 1, and the match is over.
When I get it out of the ring, I do notice that the plastic servo horns are a little bit stripped, so I replace those real quickly before the next match. The Krave now have their fight in the losers bracket. And it starts out with me getting some big crunches in. Without the trapdoor open though, there's nowhere to bring him, and I have to let him go after 10 seconds. Here's a good idea though, and starts keeping the lifting arm up, which makes it difficult for him to fit within the Krave mouth, and this ends up causing the purple Krave servo to rip right off of the foul board. In a bit of a role reversal, purple Krave ends up being eaten by that lifting arm. And he chomps down on my Krave too. The tides have turned here. And here I'm trying to open my Krave's mouth while it's being clamped closed, and this ends up stripping all the gears in the servo. And time is running out for the Kraves. The jaw on my Krave isn't working, so I'm just trying to like back into him, and then we get rid of it. I replaced the servos of the Krave, and now I have to face with my Beetle this scary vertical spinner called K2. As a built-in defense mechanism, my robot sheds a limb, which jams up the weapon of K2.
It's a shame. Well, just new phone pulls the weapon.
Stuck. Isn't that what part of your machine?
We have to make sure.
There you go. Video's uploading now.
You caught something.
He almost lost.
The alloy 910 chassis split right along the layer lines, and a lot of the wiring was ripped apart.
You think I better get working on that?
Flipping arm
Yeah,
with a built-in
so too.
spinning blade.
I quickly threw in a replacement drive motor for the right side.
Alright, electronics are all done. Now I just got to replace this servo horn and then tape everything back together. Alright, the rebuild's complete. It works. The only thing I need to do is I need to sand down the wedges because the duct tape added a little bit of extra thickness here so the wheels don't touch as well as they should. So I'm going to get a belt sander, sand down the wedges. They'll be good to go, and I'll glue the Googly eye on.
So I rebuilt King Googly. It was now in the loser's bracket, and the opponent it was going to face next is this Phantom 2. And I'm just going to show you this whole match because this was what I was up against next.
Last time.
3 more seconds.
All together. Door is open. Oh no! He's about to take off. The Thomas Skyscrapers has 2 wheels left and he's still moving.
He's not giving up now.
Oh no!
Blade, huh?
There you go.
Which blade are you going to use?
Well done, Mike.
Probably the steel one. Oh, the steel? Yeah. Alright. That'll cause some damage.
I start with a rush, but that fails, I miss, and his weapon's up to speed.
There goes King Googly. He's still moving. He's not got much left. One more? Sure. I think King Googly. I think they're going to expose battery.
You can hit the wedge.
We're going to ball match. Congratulations, Phantom 2.
And here are the remains of King Googly. This time it's not rebuildable, and this is kind of a bit of a lesson as to what happens if you try to do a hastily built 3D printed beetle weight and put it against some really heavy hitting spinners. But the Krave lived on in the losers bracket, and they are now up against the Hockey Puck of Death. Unfortunately, Spinook was having troubles with its weapon belt, so although the shell was spinning up, it wasn't spinning as fast as it usually does.
Oh, there it goes! The trap door's not open yet, so it might not do much good. Surprisingly, they're not taking much out of the Crave Monsters yet. 5 seconds, so trap door opens, so he's got him. They can't just drop him, they have to go in and be able to push him. Okay, you trapped him for at least 10 seconds, so if you can't move, you might have an unsafe situation here.
While single Krave didn't have enough pushing power, 2 did.
Oh, he's out! And the Crave Monsters away. Spinook's having a hard time not throwing himself in the hole. Uh-oh! Oh no!
The Krave's next match was against a horizontal spinner called Ignition.
Trying to open. Oh, he's out.
Ignition cuts into the mouth and ends up breaking it off of the servo, and then I can't open the mouth to release it. So they quick break us free, and that's when I realized that my Krave is completely dead. That's the advantage of a multi-bot. So the match resumes, and unfortunately Ignition loses its belt here, so it's now weaponless. I get Ignition in the mouth, and this is where last year's Krave would have pushed him right in the trapdoor, but here I'm just lacking the pushing power and just sitting here while Ignition rips that top half of my mouth off. This is so close and yet so far. This goes to the judges and Ignition wins it. And now the Crave Monsters are out of the competition as well, but the builder of Spinook wants a rematch, so we do a grudge match because the belt is now working well on Spinook and the shell's at full speed. We almost screw up the start procedure, but I was able to open my Crave's mouth, which kind of pushed my brother's Krave back onto its wheels. The improvement to Spinook's shell speed is immediately evident. Spinook removed some foam chunks, but the Kraves are still functional, so time for another grudge match, this time against the second place bot, the Snip. The Snip spinning saw cuts a big gash through the bottom of one of the Kraves, and this gets within a quarter inch of the wires to the drive motors, but luckily doesn't hit anything important. By this point in the competition, me and Eric have also gotten a lot better at driving as a team. The saw puts big gashes in the side, big gashes through the top of each of the Krave's mouth, but in the end is not able to reach any of the electronics. The trapdoor opens and in the Snip goes. I did sit out of the Rumbles because King Googly, of course, was killed, and the Crave Monsters, I had the Grudge matches actually after the Rumbles, and I wanted to save them for that. But here are some of the highlights.
Still going? Oh no! Really hard to see this thing. It'll totally be back. Hey, Austin, turn the control off and then let go.
Oh, and another hard hit. He's upside down. He might be stuck there.
Hey, can I try connecting the phone? Austin, try it again.
There goes the BotBrawl. 2, 1, go! Congratulations.